see mine's pretty much rigged out the way that I would want it. These things can be rigged out every way you can imagine, but they got all kinds of features for these things. But yeah, this is pretty much done for me as far as right now. I know it's possible to add something else on it, of course. So I guess for starters, let's look at some of the features. Obviously, you can see with mine rigged out, it kind of shows you what you can do with some of this stuff. These boxes fit perfectly inside these trays. It's got a lip there to make sure these are not coming out on the water. Got two of them. Obviously, you got a little netting here. It's the same netting on both sides. You know, to put some more stuff in behind that'll really hold tight, because that's not going anywhere either. Obviously, you've got the tracks for any kind of ram mounts. Those are really, really nice. Obviously, it still has the slides here. That's how this ram mounts on, you can just hand tighten that on. But that's really, really nice. A lot of options for that. When I first saw the kayak, wasn't really positive what these were for. This works really well. These stay in here really nice. It's on I got this one on here because it's a little easier to pull than their string, but this is really nice. Always comes back to where you're not gonna lose this stuff. They really did think of a ton of stuff. I got my scissors on this one. Obviously, like you see, pliers on this side. I chose to put my battery in here for my depth finder, chart plotter. This I just thought was easy option. All I have to do is I have that mounted in there. Just bring my charger over, plug in my cord, hook up my charger right here and charge it. None of the plugs have to be unhooked, so nothing comes loose. And I ran the wires, in the hull for this, obviously into the back, and also how to use these connectors. So these little access point ports have seals, different size seals that will seal around that wire so that you're not getting water in your kayak. There's one there, and then over here, there's also one here that mounts down to the transducer below. That's a really cool system, that Guardian system that comes on this kayak. Not all the Hobies have this, but this is a really neat system. Not one of the main reasons I bought this kayak, but definitely a plus. So let's keep moving around the kayak. Obviously, one of the big features when you go with a compass or higher is reverse on the pedals. I would say that, in big open water, even I just got back from lake trout fishing, you're going to try to hold yourself in place. You're 99% of the time trying to hold yourself in place and forward. You're going to push yourself into the wind, cast up into the wind, and you're going to try to hold yourself there for your cast. So what I did notice the reverse was really good for was in the Keys. There was, times when you're in tight areas with the mangroves and stuff, and the reverse was just invaluable. You're not having to grab your paddle to turn around. So that was an area that I really enjoyed the reverse. It's not a must. Some of the cheaper kayaks don't have the reverse. They're still wonderful kayaks and are gonna work great, but the reverse is definitely a plus. Next items, this is not really part of the exact kayak review, but if you're gonna kayak fish, I just got this rubber mesh net, and I'm sure that this has been covered 1,000 times, but what a plus this was to not have treble hooks tangled in that thing. Was really, really awesome. I'll probably never go kayak fishing without the rubber style net again, because that was quick and easy. Last thing you want to do is fight stuff when you're on a kayak. So that's not, that pertains to every kayak, but just something I thought I'd throw in there. Also, we have the trolley, the anchor trolley. This is the one made by Hobie. I mounted this differently. I didn't want a whole bunch of string all over my kayak to deal with lures and all kinds of stuff. They have a way where you can mount it all the way to the top, or all the way to the front, and all the way to the back. All I needed out of a trolley, and I've kayak fished a lot now, was just to get this anchor back pretty much to the back of the boat. My anchor hooks to here, so as the current or the wind pulls, the anchor line's going to go this way, and the boat's going to point to the front. That's all I needed. You just want to get something far enough back so that you're not sideways to the wind. As soon as you get past sideways with your anchor, the boat's gonna turn and go into the wind and you can fish. I know that one of the reasons they ran it to the front was so you could be turned around and casting up into the wind. Me personally, is the fishing that I've done, I just don't see a reason for that, to run all that line on your kayak and just have more stuff in the way. Again, I'm sure guys use it for certain applications, not something I needed. Another quick item that has nothing to do with the kayak, and I'll just be quick with this. I've tried a whole bunch of little coolers on my kayak, and that's still probably what I'll use. One of these smaller coolers. I have a small Yeti down there and an angle. Basically, you know, for food and drinks, but for fish, I just don't think you can beat a fish bag. Out of all the things I've tried, this is by far the easiest. I really like this fish bag too. It holds ice really well, but it's just so easy to slip. You know, you can slip I don't even know, probably a 24-inch fish at least in this. In all of those coolers, that's not happening unless you had a really big cooler. So you can get a much bigger fish. It's a lighter item, much easier to pull in front of you. If you want to bring it in front of you to put fish in, you can lift it. Really like that. But anyway, that's not to do with this kayak, but with kayak fishing altogether. I'm going to cut to some clips here in a minute of this thing out on the water. May even cut to some clips with my other kayak that I did have, the other Hobie I had, the Passport 10.5, and kind of show the differences. But this thing definitely can handle some waves. You know, the beauty to these sit on top kayaks is obviously a wave comes over the top and all the water just drains out. You know, this kayak has basically zero water in it. And I've seen some videos where guys have gotten water in the hull of this kayak. I'm not sure how they're managing that, because yesterday I was in quite a bit of wind. Water was coming over the kayak. I'll cut to the clip of that right now. And there's no water in this thing. And I was out there for 7 hours. So not sure how that's happening, but I will say the one design thing that I don't quite understand that they could have maybe done a little bit better is, I get the nose like this to cut through the wind. That's perfect. But if they could have just flared this nose up even 3 inches to spray water out a little more, you wouldn't nose into so many waves. You know, it's the same plane all the way back. If it just designed this with a little flare, and maybe there's something that would cause something bad. I'm no engineer, but seems to me like that would push the waves to the side instead of right over the top of the kayak. Anyway, small complaint. All they do is come over the edge of this kayak right here. The water just runs either right out of here, or if it really splashed deep in there, you got weep holes all over underneath you. So, you know, it's not going to sink. There's no issue with that. I never felt uncomfortable. Never felt like I was going to fall out of this kayak. Not even close, really. I never even felt a second of that kind of feeling where it was tippy. Speaking of sitting, here's another couple of features here. These have probably been described tons of times by people, but you know, you got this extra height. You've got this thing will change the you know, how these work, where you can sit back farther, you can sit closer, you know, with your backrest. The way that this works is a little thing you pull here, and that allows this whole seat to drop in. You can pull it back out, and those lock right back in. There's 3 positions. Those stand up, and then as it comes up, they lock into here. So you got 3 height positions. Now the one thing, again, I don't love is the way this clips in. This seat sort of comes out once in a while, and I don't I don't love that. I know if you get it clipped in just right when you put it in, it usually won't do that. But it's kind of, that system's a little strange. But, you know, the kayak's near perfection. I'm very happy with it. Really not a lot of complaints. You'll see in a clip here in just a second how I'll discuss that this kayak right here is right on the edge of not being able to work as a single man moving around, you know, without a cart and stuff. It's right there. It's just heavy enough that, you know, you can barely do it. Now, I've done it already 3-4 times, but it's tough. It's definitely heavy. If you're an office worker, a guy who doesn't work out at all, or this would probably not be the kayak for you. I'm not exactly a very big or very strong guy, so it's right on the edge of what I can handle. It is doable. That's why I bought it, because anything bigger or heavier than this, I think, is not doable for one guy trying to go on a trip by himself. So yeah, it's right on the edge. And like I said, I'll show that clip right now. So then we got another feature here is the rudder. And the way this rudder deploys, that's what it looks like when it's not deployed. It deploys right here. It's a little pull cord right here. It says rudder right on it. You have to pull this and get it to come free of that constraint right there, and then it'll go down. So you get that pulled off of that little rubber clip end, and then it drops down. And then you have this kayak here actually has, on both sides, it has your turning mechanism, which is really nice. I actually used the two sides while I was just fishing in the Finger Lakes. So there it is deployed. Works really well. One thing I really enjoyed about that is even when you're not pedaling and you're just drifting, fishing, you can turn these and it'll literally turn the boat pretty quickly. So that part was really nice. I was drift fishing and I could actually move in or farther away from shore just by turning those without even touching the pedals. That was really nice. So now you just, you want to get that back into those. So it was out here, you want to pull it back into that little rubber clip, and that's it. Just one good tug and it locks in place. The only thing I don't love about this, and again, you can only have things, you know, I don't know what they would do to change this. Anyway, it's probably the only way it can be. But when you're unloading the kayak by yourself, you got to be really careful you don't set it down on that. They've got a little bracket that you can set it down on, but still, that bracket's got to come off at some point and get the thing in the water. So it's a little tricky, but again, now that, you know, I know it's there, I make it work. So, yeah, that's just about it. Plenty of rod holders, tons of storage back here. I like that they put the seat, it's either dead center or even weight-wise a little forward of center. And I really like that because there's almost no time I'm using this kayak without a fish bag. Most of the time I'm probably gonna have a fish bag and a cooler if I'm out all day. So that kind of allows the kayak to, you know, to just tilt back slightly instead of if the weight, your body was farther back, then it would tilt down way too much because all the weight would be in the back. So once you put that in, you get that slight tilt back to front, which is good because obviously that lifts your nose for the waves, but doesn't lift it so much that it feels unstable front to back. So yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. Awesome kayak. And then also, like I said, the other options, the Passport 10.5, great kayak, way easier to move around by yourself. You load it up with some weight, and I'll kind of show you what that looks like on a clip right here. love that part of it. But if you're mostly taking trips by yourself and you're carrying maybe down, no launch ramp, definitely a much better kayak for that. Even the 12, buddy of mine just bought that, still a lot lighter than this, much easier to move around. It's lower on features, but that's the plus and minuses. You shed a ton of weight by getting those to the point where those are super easy to carry. I can just throw that up on my shoulder, no problem, and carry it down to the water. As of right this minute, I would say I for sure prefer this kayak with the reverse, the extra storage, the way that the transducer hooks up. Everything is really well thought out, and you pay for that. So we'll see over the years as I get older whether or not I want to carry around this beast or not. But yeah, great kayak. I would definitely recommend it to anybody who's in the market. Till next time.